KCAA coming to you across Southern California. If you miss us on the radio or our live broadcast, check us out on any of your favorite podcast platforms, or better yet, go to the streaming. We are on Roku, we are on Amazon Fire TV, and we are on the Android app. Look for the Building Solid Foundations channel. That's a free download on any of those streaming apps. And you can find not just our show, but there's other great shows. A lot of them are right here on KCAA as well. Real Men of Real Estate. There's International Wealth Builders. There's a slew of different shows. Fabulous Lifestyle. All those are also on the streaming service. So check that out, the Building Solid Foundations channel on Roku, Amazon Fire, and on Android. Today, I want to talk to you about some basics of real estate. As you know, I'm in the real estate world in the business. I do land acquisition, I do entitlement, we do land development. I've been a construction manager for decades, and I teach construction management and development at the university level. But I get questions a lot. I'm part of multiple real estate investor networks and associations, and we get a lot of the beginners. They come in and they say, okay, so what do we need to start? And I always tell them the first thing you need to do is figure out who do you need to connect with. Who do you need to be on your team? Because if you're going to get into any kind of real estate, and you don't have to do the large things like my company does, you can do very small, build an ADU in your backyard. You can buy a small unit and put it on Airbnb. You can buy a place, add some square footage, fix it up, and then flip it over or rent it out. There's small things you can do. Take a lot and split it into two lots, something like that. But nobody knows everything right up front, and you can do the trainings and you can watch the videos, and I recommend that. But ultimately, most of what you learn is going to be through experience, and that's a hard teacher. Unfortunately, it can be an expensive teacher. So one of the ways to mitigate the risk on that is to work with other people. Find other people who are experts, bring something to the party, share with them, and you will learn as you go through the process with them. That's how I learned everything that I know. I don't have a degree in real estate. I don't even have a degree in construction. MBA. I'm a business guy, and I learned everything about real estate development and construction by doing it, but by working with other people first. So I'm going to walk through really who's going to be on your team. You need a team. Real estate is not a solo enterprise, and I don't care what people tell you about this. Solopreneur. That's fine. I can work by myself, work off the kitchen table, and that's true to a degree. But you're not doing it on your own. There is no such thing as the self-made solo, I did everything by myself real estate person who's been successful. There was a slew of people that worked on each and every project they ever did to make them successful. I'm not a person that is overly social. To be honest with you, I'm very much more of an introverted personality, although most people that know me and hear this would say that's not true. But I've learned how to work with people very well and have the interpersonal skills. But the fact is, I like to do things on my own, but I'm very aware of the fact that I have limitations. I don't know everything, and I don't need to know everything. Other people know things, and we can mutually benefit together. So having said that, let's get into some of the people you need to work with. The first thing people ask if they want to get into any kind of real estate is, where do I find the money? I don't have millions of dollars stuffed away in a bank account, or a couple $100,000 sitting in my mattress somewhere. Where do I find the money? Well, there's a lot of people out there that are happy to provide money if they can make some money on it as well. If you'll do the work, they'll provide the money. So most people think initially of banks, and your local banker can work, but you have to work within their parameters, and they're fairly rigid, and the qualifications to get their money is fairly stiff. So I would suggest if you are getting into this and you have good credit and you have some resources and you want to take out a loan, and you go to a bank, you want to start with smaller business banks. I would avoid the Chases and the Citibanks and the Bank of Americas and the Wells Fargos and those kind of companies. Now, if you work for one of those and you're a mortgage person, please don't get upset at this, but there's reasons for that. They're inflexible. They have their rules, and the rules are what they are. That's number one. Number two, they're based out of state in a New York skyscraper somewhere, or maybe in San Francisco or something. They're not local. The staff in the local bank will change without any notice, and the people you don't get a chance to really build a relationship with those people. They come and go, and they have very little say over what's going on, anyways, policy-wise. If you local bank, the local small business bank, you can know the bank manager and the executives at the bank. You can know the people that work there, the loan officers. and build a long-term relationship with them. Now, the only downside to the local bank that I've dealt with is that the large banks will buy them every once in a while, and now you're back stuck with this big bank again, which means usually I make a plan to close the account and go back to another smaller business bank. I don't like working with the larger banks just because they're so impersonal. When you call them, there's some faceless voice coming out of a cubicle somewhere that doesn't know you. You're just a number to them, account number. When you work with a small bank, you know people. And I've worked with the small local bank where I have been out of town, got a phone call, there's something hanging up, and they worked with me to get things pushed through, trusting that as soon as I got somewhere where I could, like our FedEx office, I could send paperwork to them or get to a place where I could get my email going. I could send something to them, sign it, and get it over to them. But they didn't hold up my transactions. Your large banks cannot do that. They'd have too much risk doing that. The small local bankers have the ability, if they know you, trust you, you have a relationship with them, they can do that kind of stuff with you. They can work with you. They can tell you what the best way to fund something is and what kind of accounts work best. So start with your local bankers first. There are mortgage brokers out there. There are mortgage brokers that work for specific companies. Some are independent. Make sure this is somebody you, again, know, like, and trust. You need to go meet with people. Now, I find that if you get out into the world and you meet somebody and have built a relationship with them, that's the people you want to work with. So how do you do that? There are real estate investor associations. I'll talk about that in a minute here, but there's real estate investor associations where those type of people show up and they link together, and you find the person that you connect with and has the products in the company that you want to work with the most. There are networking groups that may have mortgage brokers in them. There's several from out there that are kind of the weekly breakfast club type networking group where there's people from different disciplines sit around the table and give each other referrals. So you can check those kind of things out. That may be a good place. You can also, there's people that you may meet through your church, through your HOA, local, your kids' school parent association. There's people you will meet that if you can build a relationship with, again, you want to have someone that you know, like, and trust. So there's local bankers and the mortgage brokers. Now then there's what they call the hard money lenders. Hard money lenders, you are not qualifying. So if you're going to go with a bank or a mortgage, you need to qualify for the loan. You need to have the income, W-2s or whatever, to back that up. Tax forms, tax returns that back up what you make. Asset base, you may have to put like a home up or something in collateral. Those kind of things are very common. In a hard money loan, typically the asset itself is what qualifies. So if you are going to be doing a project, they will, your property, your real estate that you own and are fixing up is exactly what qualifies for it, regardless of you. They may require some other collateral, personal guarantee sometimes. Personal guarantee is where you tell the lender that if it's not repaid, not only can they come take the collateral, they can take if that's not enough, they can take any of your private assets, regardless of any corporate or LLC you set up to protect yourself. You've given them permission to do that. So check with those kind of things. I've always tried to avoid personal guarantees and done a lot of work, and there are ways that you can work around it, which is also why I use a lot of equity. I'm going to get to that in a second. But a hard money lender, your project itself, the asset is qualifying for the loan, and you work directly with the fund owners or managers. There are private lenders also that are similar. They're not a firm like a hard money lender. They're just an individual, and the individual may be loaning money out of their personal funds or maybe out of a self-directed retirement account, something like that, and you work out with them. The great thing about working with, say, a private lender is the person. And if something goes wrong, it takes longer than you thought, maybe you're not able to sell it, you go over budget, you can talk with the human being about how to work out that. Maybe they can defer a payment or something to help you out so they don't just come in and foreclose on you like a large bank might because they're just going by the book. So private lenders are out there too. Again, how do you find them? Start at your local real estate investor association. That's a good place where those type of people might be. And again, you want to know that this person is someone you want to work with, and they need to know that you're a person that they want to work with. And then, so that's all debt. You can also use equity. My company uses primarily equity, and the reason is because we work primarily in land. Land is a difficult thing to get loans on. You need to have a lot of equity in it already before you get a loan because there's no improvements, there's no building to back that up. And they're looking at securing that loan against an asset that won't devalue ever. So land is a little more volatile that way. So we use mostly equity. Equity we get from individuals. We can get them from fund managers or people that actually manage pots of money that are to invest in projects. But majority we work with is individuals, and sometimes the individuals work as the person or as through an IRA or sometimes through a company that they own that does it. But we do work with some fund managers. So things that are trusts or things that are hedge funds, those type of things. People work with those. So those are local banker, your mortgage brokers, hard money lenders, private lenders, and equity investors. There's other ways, but those are the main ways that I would look at if you're trying to fund a project. And then you ask me the question, why would they fund my project? Well, because you have something that works. And you've worked out a performa or a project budget with a projection of what the returns are, and you can back that up. You can say, look, here's the comps. Here's what the market's doing right now. And if you can do that, there are people that are willing to work with you. And they would, in fact, even private lenders would put a lien on your property if they're smart, so that if it goes south, then they have a recourse so that they can get their money back if everything falls apart on you. And again, before you do that, I'd find someone that you can work with as a partner first. Find some people you can work with as partners in it that have experience. And they may already have the relationships with some of the funding. Once you've done a project or two, now you've got experience and you've got some credibility to move forward. So that's one piece of the puzzle. We'll talk about some other people you need to work with when we come back from the break. I'm Steve Matley. We're talking about kind of the basics of getting into real estate. Where do you start? On Building Solid Foundations Radio. We're on KCAA. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing, and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Real Men of Real Estate.
Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA.
Boats, mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically, go to the radio station, KCAAradio.com.
You can find us on your dial at 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, as well as 106.5 FM.
Building Solid Foundations Radio.
Hi, this is Jim McLaughlin with Effective Action Consulting, and I've been a member of Fire Up Connect for, probably 3 years now. And what I really like about Fire Up Connect is the unique model that we go through, that we follow, the agenda, so to speak, in the meeting that really has us get engaged and involved with each other in the meetings. It's not that we're individuals, it's that we're all really working together to better ourselves, our businesses, and the community through the projects that we work on. So I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to network with people in this environment, and it's really impacted my business in a big way. So take a look.
Welcome back to Building Solid Foundations. This is Steve Matley. I'm talking today about how to get started in real estate. If you're kind of new, you're kicking the tires, you're looking at it. Maybe you watch the shows on HGTV or DIY and you're going, I could probably do that. Maybe you know some friends, neighbors that have done this and they seem to be doing okay. Thinking, gosh, maybe I should get into that. But I just don't know where to start. So the first segment we kind of talked about maybe go to a real estate investor association in your area and start meeting the people that are doing this. The nice thing is the people there are already focused on this as opposed to going to general networking where people are doing all kinds of stuff. The people there are specifically somehow involved in wanting to do real estate or real estate investing. So we talked in the first segment about where to find funding. We talked about local bankers, mortgage brokers, hard money lenders, private lenders, and equity investors. So here, the thing is, the risk is a big issue. And unless you went to law school, which most of us did not, you need to get some legal expertise on this. I took law classes in school, but I am far from being a legal expert. I have written contracts, but I've always had attorneys review those things and do some heavy edits on that because I did not go to law school, and there are certain key phrases and language that are necessary to make sure things are going to work correctly. And you don't need large, complicated contracts. You just need to make sure that it's worded the correct way because legalese has its own terminology and definitions, perceived definitions, as opposed to a regular conversational English. So what legal experts do you need? Well, there's different types of attorneys. Not all, just like there's different kind of doctors. There's a podiatrist and there's a anesthesiologist and there's a general practitioner. Well, attorneys are the same way. And so you need an attorney that is a specialist in real estate transactions and contracts. And there are those out there. That is a person who is going to review all your contracts and all your transactions to make sure they're correct. So you get a purchase and sell agreement, either buy something to sell something. Also, if you're doing contract with construction contractors, suppliers, those type of things, you want to make sure that someone has reviewed those to make sure you're protected. As you do it over time, you'll start to realize the standard stuff, and there's things you'll know, okay, my attorney told me this, this, and this, and I can check for that on my own, but I still have attorneys check my contracts. And I do that because laws change. Every time there's a court ruling, a law can change. Every time the legislature gets together, it can change. There are bureaucratic regulations that come down from different government agencies that can change things. So we want to make sure that we stay up to date on everything, and the attorneys, that's their job to stay up to date on that. So it's worth paying it. I remember sitting in a presentation once, and a question was asked to one of the presenters saying, I'm new, I don't have a lot of money. Do I really need to pay an attorney? And the answer came back, no, if you can save money on that, you don't really need an attorney because the chances of something going wrong are pretty slim. Well, that is a truthful answer, that chances are fairly slim. However, if it does go wrong, the price is very high. It can be devastating. So my advice is that's not where you want to cut money. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney to look at your contract, check your transaction, then you probably can't afford to do the project, is my guess. How do you fix that? Well, we go back to the last discussion. We talked about how to find money, the funding. So have an attorney, a real estate transaction or contracts attorney review all that. A tax attorney. If you're going to get into real estate investing, there's a lot of tax implications. And you can get absolutely destroyed on taxes if you do this wrong. And then other people will give you a lot of advice. They'll say, oh, do a 1031 exchange and then do this and do that. And those are all great strategies if you do them correctly. But the I's have to be dotted, the T's have to be crossed, the regulations have to be done correctly. You have to, all the compliance has to be in place. So you need a tax attorney to advise you on your structure. Should you be doing this as an individual, as an LLC, as a corporation, as a trust? How should you do this? You need a tax attorney who, this is just the legal side. You'll probably need a CPA also, but a tax attorney can also advise you on project and transaction strategies for tax advantages. I would talk to a CPA as well, whoever does your taxes. And then there's a land use attorney. If you're doing things like lot splits, you're going to do some kind of a tentative map or something like that, assemblages, anything that's around zoning, changing the land use, dividing or combining existing properties, you want to probably talk to a land use attorney to make sure you're doing things correctly there. And then your real estate should be a business. It should not just be as an individual. You should be doing it as some type of a business entity for a lot of reasons, and that tax attorney can help you figure out why that is. But you'll want a business attorney for the business-related issues, and that means forming an entity, whether it's your real estate business or project entities, if your project's going to be in an LLC or something like that, employment issues, ownership risks, vendor agreements, those type of things. A business attorney can help you with that. A lot of times that real estate transaction and contracts attorney might also be a business attorney. That may be the same person, but make sure first. So get legal expertise. That will mitigate a lot of your risk and keep you from getting yourself in trouble. You'll want insurance expertise as well, an insurance agent or broker. So why? Well, if you're going to get in real estate, if you're going to own something, you need property or homeowner's insurance. If you're going to rent this out, if you're going to hold it, even while if you're just buying it to flip it, you'll need insurance while you have it in your possession and doing the work. If you are hiring people to work on it or manage it, you need workers' comp. If you're doing construction and you're using your own vehicles, you need automobile insurance in case you damage something while you pick up backs over something or takes out the neighbor's mailbox or something. You'll need professional liability insurance if you're advising people doing real estate, if you're managing their money and those type of things. That's E&O type insurance. If you're doing some of these transactions, maybe you want valuable papers insurance, where you're protecting the stamp permitted set of plans, if it's a physical set of plans, maybe to protect the original contracts, whatever it is, plans and specs. So you'll want to see if that's something that's necessary. If you're in a company, you form a company with partners, and I have 2 partners in my company, and we work together, and maybe you want a key person insurance where there's insurance in case something happens to one of those key people that can devastate your business if they disappear one day because of an accident or a sudden illness or something. And then you'll want to work with an agent or broker that you know to review your contracts. Not only does your attorney need to look at most of your contracts, if you have an insurance broker, you should have them look at your contracts. And I'll tell you why. I have had in the past where I've always had an attorney and my insurance person look over contracts. And sometimes the insurance person is looking at things differently than the attorney. The insurance broker or agent is looking at things in relation to the policy you have and making sure that there's nothing in there that violates that. And they will stop you from signing a contract that has a clause that could mean that you're not covered because your insurance policy says you would never sign a contract that has that clause in it. And you and I and people like us that are just mere mortals and lay people probably aren't savvy enough to figure all that out, but they will. So have your insurance person review your contracts before you sign them, and for every transaction, advise you on every single transaction to make sure it's good. And also make sure they review your coverage and modify it annually. Things change, so make sure they're reviewing things and adjusting as necessary. So you've got funding, you've got legal expertise, you've got insurance. And then if you're going to do any work, you're going to need some design and construction experts, architects, engineers, contractors, general contractors and trade contractors, material suppliers. And this is for doing remodels, rehabs, ground ups, repairs, any of that kind of work, even if it's just on the landscaping, you're replacing driveways and walkways and stuff. If you're involving contractors, there's a whole layer of contract stuff you need to know there. So architects and engineers would be design specialists. You may need them to design things. We've hired them in the past to design floor plans for us and elevations, and even we use land planners too to lay out larger projects, land. You may not need that if you're doing small projects. But an architect doing anything that's construction-wise, and if you're doing something structural to it, possibly under the architect, but maybe separate from the architect, there would be civil engineers, structural engineers, mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineers, depending on what you're doing. So again, it may be all under the architect or it may be separate. Maybe all you need is a civil engineer. You don't need an architect. You just need a civil engineer for what you're doing. Maybe you're grading things out and putting in a retaining wall to level an area so you can build an ADU or something. That would be a civil engineer, and then you can hire the architect for the ADU portion of it. So you want to make sure you have the right experts. Again, nobody has all these credentials. I've been around this business for many decades. I work in an architecture college, actually, and I'm not an architect. I'm not an engineer of any type. So I need to turn to those experts to get the right consulting and have them design things correctly. Then you go to contracting. You'll want to find licensed general contractors who are in good standing and have insurance and they're good adequate insurance, workers' comp, automobile liability insurance at a minimum. You'll want to make sure that they have a track record, that they have the resources, they have the capacity to do your job, meaning the time and the personnel to do it, and then they have past customers that seem to be happy with them. So a general contractor or a construction manager, if you just need someone to help you manage the process, and you're going to hire all the trades directly. And then if you have a general contractor, that's probably all you need. If you're doing small stuff, individual, maybe it's a trade contractor. Maybe you just need a framer and a roofer for what you're doing. That's fine, but then you still, maybe you want a construction manager to help you, or you'll be the construction manager, and then you'll hire the trade contractors to help you. But if you don't have experience managing construction, don't just try to do it on your own because you watch some YouTube videos and watch some HGTV. There's a lot to it. You make sure there's scheduling, estimating, contract docs, all the stuff you have to manage on that. So make sure you bring in trade contractors you trust and you know and you vetted carefully. Same thing with general contractors or a construction manager. Vet them and know who they are. Engineers and architects, do the research, find the right people, especially if you can get personal referrals from people who've worked with them. And material suppliers the same way. You don't always have to go with the Home Depot, Lowe's kind of suppliers, but they work. And they got a lot of things and they're pretty efficient and effective. But there's a lot of other specialty suppliers out there, rock and concrete suppliers and lumber yards and flooring and tile and countertops, all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of suppliers out there. Make sure you vet them, check their ratings, see how their customer service is, read their reviews, and make sure you know that they're legitimate. So you want to start work with them. So if you're doing any design and construction, make sure you research and get the right experts. So far, you need funding resources, legal resources, insurance resources, and then design and construction resources to get going. And then when we come back from the break, I'll talk to you a little bit more about what are some other steps. So that's basically just really who needs to be on your team before you even get started. I'll talk about a couple more of those when we come back from the break. This is Steve Matley on Building Solid Foundations, and we'll be right back after this.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing, and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Solid Foundations Radio.
Hi, this is Jim McLaughlin with Effective Action Consulting, and I've been a member of Fire Up Connect for, probably 3 years now. And what I really like about Fire Up Connect is the unique model that we go through, that we follow, the agenda, so to speak, in the meeting that really has us get engaged and involved with each other in the meetings. It's not that we're individuals, it's that we're all really working together to better ourselves, our businesses, and the community through the projects that we work on. So I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to network with people in this environment, and it's really impacted my business in a big way. So take a look.
Welcome back to Building Solid Foundation. This is Steve Matley. We're talking about getting started in real estate as a real estate investor doing real estate projects. And so far what we've talked about is kind of building the team you need, because it's really not a solo enterprise. You need help. You can't be an expert in all these areas. It's just impossible. The people that have been doing this for many decades have people they trust that they work with who are experts in certain areas. And so far we talked about finding people that can help you get the funding, whether it's the local business bank, mortgage brokers, hard money lenders, private lenders, or equity investors that can help you out. We talked about finding the right legal experts to help you out for transactions, real estate transactions, business transactions, contract review, tax advice, and land use advice if you need that. We talked about the importance of having a good insurance agent or broker to help you with different types of insurance and to review transactions and contracts with you to make sure that you're not signing anything that's going to get you in trouble, something that maybe put you at risk for something. We talked about needing certain design and construction experts, architects, engineers, general contractors, construction managers, trade contractors, and suppliers that you may need to do work, and where to find how to kind of think through hiring them correctly and what you need. I would say at a minimum with those type of consultants and contractors, make sure that they have good customer reports and projects that you can look at and see what they've done. And then we're getting into property. So if you're doing real estate, there's also the property related stuff. You need a good real estate agent or broker. Now, people, a lot of people that know me know that most of what we purchase is not listed. We buy unlisted properties for the most part. That does not in any way mean that we don't need real estate agents or brokers. We use real estate agents and or brokers in almost every transaction, even though we kind of go find the land. But we're not real estate experts. I guess we could be considered that. We've been doing it for years, but we're not licensed in that, and nor do we want to be. So we bring in real estate agents and brokers that we can trust. And if you're just starting out in this, you need to have a good real estate agent or broker that you can work with to really shepherd the transaction. It's not so much about listing and that kind of stuff. Anybody can list a property. Anybody can put it on the MLS, and buyers will contact them. This is about someone you can work with that can give you advice, someone that you can trust, someone that can help you make decisions on how to deal with your real estate, how to acquire it, how to sell it. You'll also want title and title review and insurance, title companies. This is an interesting one. Most people don't think about title. Title is that item that gives you the legal right to your property, that says that you own it. And a title company is an insurance company. They're ensuring that they've reviewed the title and apprised you on anything that's weird on there. And as long as you're okay with what's on there, the people and the encumbrances and liens and those type of things, you know what has to go away. You can negotiate that with the seller when you're buying it. But then they will ensure that there's nothing else out there that you don't know about. They've reviewed it, and they're ensuring that there's no surprises. There's nobody with a claim to that property that you don't know. And that's very important to have. And there are title companies that are underwriters, and there are title companies that just kind of parcel it out. The one thing when we negotiate with sellers and buyers is title is the one thing we really insist on. We have our title company we like to use and pretty much every transaction, and we rarely will give in to that, because the few times we have, because someone insisted on it, usually because their best friend or their cousin or their brother or something is the title person, it's never worked out right. There's always been some kind of problem with it. So we really go to the mat and fight, because we have a title company we really like, and they're trustworthy, and they've always backed us up, and they've been solid. So I think it's very important, and it's hard for me to express how important it is to you enough that you need a good title company. It should be an underwriting title company. Then the home inspector. If you're buying a house, you should have a good home inspector to come out and look. Now, for me, I would, at my expense, probably hire 2 separate home inspectors to go there at 2 separate times and do 2 independent reviews, because home inspectors all see different things. You'll get 2 different reports on the same property from 2 inspectors, and there can be some wide differences. So that's how I would approach it. And I myself, I know what to look for in a building, but I would still hire a home inspector to get those extra eyes and expertise on it. So you'll want that, because that's going to give you a lot of what you need when you're negotiating a purchase price, if there's things that need to be fixed, or be apprised if there's code violations and those type of things, or any structural issues. You'll want to have a good property manager if you're renting things out. You can certainly manage it yourself. I learned from personal experience that property management is fantastic when everything works well and you have good tenants that pay on time. Property management is a complete nightmare when you get tenants that don't pay you, trash your properties, you have to evict them. They steal your stuff, or they trash your property. That's a real pain. So you don't want to have to be doing trash outs and those kind of things in between tenants. So a good property manager can manage that for you. Plus, if you have a tenant, you really don't want that tenant to know who the owner is, because if you run into them at the store, they're going to be peppering you with all kinds of things. I'm a big fan of being arm's length, having a professional property manager handle the property. And if I run into a tenant in the building, they don't even know that I have anything to do with the building, because the building is owned in the name of an LLC or a trust or something, and I have a property manager who's collecting rent and maintaining things. So it keeps it kind of arm's length. So you need, I think, a good property manager. Now, sometimes you think, I can't afford that. This is where maybe initially you have to manage them yourself. But over time, if you build up a portfolio or you have enough difference between the rental rate and the mortgage price that you have to pay to maintain the property, there may be enough margin to hire someone else over time. You get an economy of scale going. So I would say maybe that's something you can't do right away, but if you can make it work, then try to get a property manager to run things for you. Trade contractors or handyman services, you will need those. If you have a property manager, they'll be handling that on your behalf. But houses, apartments, condos, whatever you have, they need repairs, and they're going to need fixing in between tenants and while tenants are in there. Toilets back up, shower doors break, appliances go bad, plumbing faucets, things go wrong. And so you'll need to have people that can come out and fix that. So you'll need trade contractors or handyman services to come out and patch the roof and fix the air conditioner and take care of the water leak. Home centers and hardware stores will be your friend. If you own properties and you're renting them out, believe me, you will be using home centers and hardware stores if you are not hiring that out to other contractors and handyman services. There may be a lot of things you're doing on your own. A lot of landlords, smaller landlords, they want to do it all themselves. They want to be their own handyman. There's nothing wrong with that. To me, it's kind of time consuming, and I figure with that time you could do something else. But if you enjoy that and you want to do that, then you will have to have a good relationship with a good home center or hardware store. So here's a little pro tip for you. If you find a real estate association in your area that is associated with the National Real Estate Investment Association, that's the key. It has to be one that's affiliated with that. And there's only one in each area. A lot of times there are special deals where with, say, Home Depot, you can get 2% back every year and you have access to the Pro Desk. And so that's a big advantage, and it's well going to offset whatever it costs you to join that local real estate investor association. But again, it has to be one that is associated with the National REIA and has that benefit of the Home Depot cashback program. So I would highly recommend that, because as a property manager, you're going to be in and out of Home Depot a lot. And then you'll want to have landscaping and gardening services. Typically, if you leave that up to the tenant will sometimes want to negotiate that. I'll take care of the yard if you reduce my rent. Yeah, that's great when you're negotiating, but it's really difficult once your yard starts dying, or their idea of maintaining the yard is take a weed eater to everything. That's not going to work. So you really want to make sure that house always maintains its curb appeal and looks decent. So you would want to insist on that and build that into the price of the rent, and have a good landscaper or gardening service that you can trust that'll do a good job. And then the last piece is in between tenants, you're going to definitely need a house cleaning and possibly a junk hauling service. Sometimes tenants leave things behind. Sometimes if you evict a tenant, there's a lot of stuff left behind. I have had a rental property where I had to haul 3.5 tons of garbage out of the house, out of a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. Seems insane, doesn't it? Hauled that out, took a week of them coming back and hauling stuff out every day to get all the junk out of the house that had been left behind after an eviction. So you want to make sure you have good house cleaning, junk hauling services. And again, house cleaning, junk hauling, contractors, handyman services, you'll need those in between tenants every time, almost. Even if they're good tenants, there's things you need to do. Repaint, maybe recarpet, change out an appliance here and there, just to make sure it's nice. So I would highly recommend having property-related experts as well. So that's, again, real estate agents or brokers, title company to do title review and insure your title, a good home inspector if you're purchasing property, a good property manager if you can afford that, trade contractors or handyman services, home center or hardware store affiliation. And again, if you can get that special deal through a local real estate investor association where you get that 2% back, that's a great deal. Plus you get access to that Pro Desk. And then landscaping and gardening services, house cleaning and junk hauling services at a minimum. So those are people on your team you need to have as well. So far we've gone through, you need to have people on your team that can help you with the funding, people that can help you with the legal work, people that can help you with insurance, people that help you design and construction, and people that can help you with the real estate transactions and the property-related management. That's a lot of people to figure out and get to know. And where do you find them? Again, I would start with a local real estate investor association. You could also go to your local networking groups that are out there. There's a lot of them. Meet breakfast and lunch and meet people and find a CPA, find an attorney, find an insurance agent, find an architect. There's find a contractor, find a handyman. There's a lot of good people in those groups that you can actually get to know and build a relationship with and get referrals from and understand from people who have worked with them what it's like to work with them and what kind of product and service they provide. So that's really the basic of who you want on your team if you want to get started in real estate. And that's kind of your first step, is start doing that. Don't just start looking for properties, start looking for the people you can work with to get you the resources you need to make sure these things are going to work. We're going to take another short break. I'm Steve Matley on Building Solid Foundations. We're on KCAA. We'll be right back after this to wrap up for today, talking about how to get started in real estate.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Real men of real estate.
Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA.
Boats, mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically, go to the radio station KCAA radio.com.
You can find us on your dial at 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, as well as 106.5 FM.
Solid Foundations Radio.
Hi, this is Jim McLaughlin with Effective Action Consulting, and I've been a member of Fire Up Connect for, probably 3 years now. And what I really like about Fire Up Connect is the unique model that we go through, that we follow, the agenda, so to speak, in the meeting that really has us get engaged and involved with each other in the meetings. It's not that we're individuals, it's that we're all really working together to better ourselves, our businesses, and the community through the projects that we work on. So I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to network with people in this environment, and it's really impacted my business in a big way. So take a look.
Hi, welcome back to Building Solid Foundations. This is Steve Matley. We are talking today about kind of getting started, kind of tips for beginners getting into the real estate if you want to get into that. Real quick note on, is it a good time to get into real estate? Because I watch these TV shows and I read the headlines. I will just tell you that I hear all the gloom and doom out there, and I see the YouTube gurus out there saying, oh, we're in for a big crash. I've been hearing that a long time. I will say that if you believed that we should be in a total recession and downturn right now based on what was being talked about over the last 6 to 9 months, especially in the last few months, market has actually gone up a little bit in the last couple of months. Builder sentiment has gone up in the last 2 months for the first time in 11 months. It's gone up 2 months in a row. There is still a massive shortage of available housing. When there's a massive shortage of anything, that means it's got more value and prices will continue to increase, no matter what anybody says. Yes, interest rates have gone up. Yes, the supply chain's getting a little better, but it's still a struggle. Labor is still a problem. But all that being said, there's still a massive shortage. And when there's a shortage, it creates value. So, and I will say this, that and depending where you invest, this show's going out in Southern California area. Greater LA is where we broadcast, but true of all of Southern California. Southern California real estate, especially the coastal counties, San Diego, Orange, LA, and then the populated areas of the inland, tend to double about every 15 years. They've been doing that. It's been doing that since about the end of World War II. So talking 80 plus years, it's been doubling every 15 years like clockwork. It goes up and down in between, yes. But if you bought low and then in one cycle, the low of the next cycle is going to be about twice what it was in the last cycle. The high in one cycle is going to be twice what it was in the last cycle. So it's long term, it's always a good play. So the main tip we were talking today is build your team. Find out who you need to find and partner with the experts. Identify with the people doing what you want to do. So this is the next thing, not just who building your team, but let's look at where you're going to learn things. partner with people who know what they're doing. You don't need to know everything if you know the people who know the things you don't know. That's why my partners are both older and smarter than I am. And they've been doing it longer. That's intentional. Most people I talk to, they would consider me an expert at what I do, and I am. I've been doing it for decades. However, my partners are more experienced than I am, and I like that. To identify the people doing what you want to do, and then make connections with them and build relationships with them. Not in a manipulative way, in an honest, genuine way. Make the connections, build relationships with them. Again, you may start at a local real estate investor association. That may be a good place to start. There are several in Southern California that are fantastic out there that I either belong to or have attended. I know the people that run them, and they're great locations. If you're in the inland, there is the Black Inland Empire Association run by Thomas Chappelle, who's one of the real men of real estate here on KCAA. That's a great organization. There is in LA, there's the virtual meeting that is held by Bill Tan, the LA Real Estate Investor Association. On the west side of LA, the oldest and largest of the organizations that I know of is run by Lloyd Siegel, who's been on my program in the past, and that's the Los Angeles County Real Estate Investor Association. And that's a great organization. He does a wonderful expo. If you want to meet the people that you can work with, they're there every month at a table showing off what they do. You'll want to go regularly and build the relationships. In Orange County, there's the Orange County Real Estate Group. In San Diego, I'm actually on the board of San Diego Creative Investors Association. The president of that association, Dan Reddig, is here on KCAA. He's also one of the Real Men of Real Estate hosts. There is there's a North San Diego chapter of that. There's so many of them that are out there. There's plenty of them. So you want to check that, Google that, and find good associations. So identify the people doing what you want to do, make the connections, and build the relationships with them. Get to a point where you can find out, how can you bring something to them? What can you do to help them? If you can find a way to be a partner, then you can learn, because a partner brings experience and knowledge that you lack. So you need to figure, what do you have that they lack? Perhaps you can refer them to somebody who you talk to who has money to invest and doesn't know where to invest it, and you can introduce them in exchange for kind of working with them on that and learn some things. You can be active or passive as a partner. Most of the partners we work with, they have very little experience doing what we do. They may have experience in real estate, but they have very little experience doing what we do, which is raw land acquisition, entitlement, development, those things. But they come in and they can be passive. They just put the money in. And so they don't have to learn all this stuff. They don't have that pressure. They don't have to build a big team. All they do is help. They have money that sometimes is there, sometimes it comes through a retirement account or something that they have, and they'll put the money in to help for other people's projects. And then they just have to sit back and wait for that to come back. Now, they do have to vet that and make sure they trust those people and they've got a good track record. But they don't have to do all the work themselves. They provide the money and the other people provide the work. That's a good way to go, too. We have others who come in and they want to be active. Even if they bring money, they want to be active because they want to learn. You can get a referral fee sometimes for helping somebody find a property they're looking for, helping somebody find a buyer for a property they need, helping somebody find money for something they're trying to do. They'll compensate you for connecting them. And you can either get that up front, or sometimes they'll say, look, if you do this, we'll give you a piece of the back end, a piece of the profit that we make on this. You'll wait a while for that, but it'll probably be bigger than any upfront referral fee you might get. So you have to work with them. Everybody's different. They work out their own deals. Bring something to the party. If you can find a way to bring money, bring your own effort. Maybe you help them find something by going on Google and phone calls and helping them find properties that they can use. That's a big advantage that those people will have, and they would love to work with you if you can do that for them, because it's time consuming. So if you don't have money, if you have some time, you can do that. Put some effort in. Maybe you have property and you don't know what to do with it. You inherited it or something, or it's just kind of been hanging around. You don't know what to do with it. Offer that up. You can do the real estate or sell it to acquire other real estate and put that into a partnership. We have people that we work with who have the empty land and they just put that in a partnership with us. Contacts. You may know people. You may know people and be able to connect people. Some of my most valuable connections are the people that have a lot of connections. They can find the people we cannot find because we don't know them, but they know the people who can buy our property. They know the people who have investment capital for us. That's valuable. And if they can share those connections with us and that works, then we'll make sure that they are compensated or they can be part of the project if that's what they want to do. And also, when you partner with other people, you get to their experience and their expertise, but you also mitigate your risk because you don't have to know everything, and they are helping you to make decisions that you would have a hard time making on your own. So that would be my suggestion. So kind of build a team of people and then find the people you can partner with. And again, start by going to a local real estate investor association and finding those people to connect. You can also connect with me at coast2coast.com, www.coast-2coast.com, or Matley at coast-2coast.com if you want to send me an email and ask questions. I'm happy to connect. This is Steve Matley on Building Solid Foundations. We're out of time for today. I hope that was helpful for the people that were asking how do you get started in real estate. We're every week on KCAA right here at 10:50 a.m., or you can catch us on the streaming service, Roku, Amazon Fire, or Android. After the fact, it'll be up within a couple of days of it broadcasting on KCAA. This is Steve Matley. Until next week, go do something different.
Something today, yesterday, last week? Check out our podcasts at www